Hello everyone, I'm Salsabila Ramadhanti and now I'm going to present the paper by Mrs. Andriani, Mr. Bayu Martanto Aji and me, Salsabila Ramadhanti. And the title of the paper is Analysis Impact and Mitigation of Landslide Disaster using the Analytical Hierarchy Process or AHP method. Landslide disaster. Landslides are the movement of slope-forming material in the form of rocks, scrap material, or mixed material that moves down or out of the slope. In 2018, Indonesia was ranked first as the country with the most disaster victims in the world and was ranked second after Haiti as the country with the most victims for the last 19 years. Indonesia's natural conditions such as topography, geology, and climatology are the dominant factor causing disaster, the movement of land masses. Methodology. The first is literature review. Literature review are carried out by searching and studying various written sources, whether in the form of books, archive, magazine, article, and journals. The result of this literature review will be used as a reference to strengthen existing argument as well as a reference for making research questionnaire. The second is questionnaire. The questionnaire was distributed to experts from universities in Indonesia, where these experts had more than 10 years of experience with landslide. The third is data processing. This data management uses the AHP method and the Likert scale. The fourth is the result. From the result of data processing, an analysis will be carried which will have the dominant impact and the most important mitigate landslide. And the last is conclusion. In the AHP method, a hierarchy structure is used. Hierarchy structure is a structure that simplifies a problem by grouping it based on the level from a problem based on a literature review. And in this paper, there are two hierarchy structures. The first is the hierarchy of landslide impacts, and the second is the hierarchy of landslide mitigation. In the hierarchy structure of landslide impact, there are three levels. At the first level is the goal, that is the most impact of landslide. And then the second level is criteria, that is casualty impact, physical impact, and environmental impact, and socioeconomic impact. And the last level is sub-criteria. There are four levels in the hierarchy structure of landslide mitigation. At the first level is the goal, that is the most important landslide mitigation. Then the second level is criteria, that is mitigation before landslide, mitigation during landslide, and mitigation after landslide. Then the second level is divided to be structural and non-structural. And the third and the fourth level is sub-criteria. HP method process. The AHP method is known as a decision-making method based on the assessment of human perception who understand the existing problem. And also, the AHP method is also often used for assessment of decision problem. There are 6 stages of the data processing using the AHP method. The first is assessment matrix. The first step then must be taken for the assessment matrix is to compile a pairwise comparison, then transform it into a pairwise comparison matrix for numerical analysis. The pairwise comparison scale uses a scale from SATI. The second is normalizing data. Data normalization is done by comparing the value of each element in the pair matrix with the total value of each column. Priority factor. Determining the priority value requires a comparison of the total rows in the matrix and the row total is generated from the sum of the total row values of the calculated that has been compared with the total value of the matrix in each column. Next is maximum eigen. And then consistency. The difference between the AHP method and other decision-making methods is the requirement of absolute consistency. The consistency is also determined by the maximum eigenvalue. If the repair rate matrix having a CR greater than 0.1 was considered inconsistent, an expert assessment could not be used. And the last is geomin. After testing the consistency of the hierarchy, the next step is to combine opinions or assessment of the questionnaire that are consistent using the average or geomin. Likert scale. There are three stages of data processing using Likert scale. The first is validity test. Validity test is a test measuring tool or question used in the questionnaire. Tests are carried out to find out whether the question used are correct to perform the musing function on the questionnaire or not. And the second is reliability test. Reliability test is a test conducted to determine whether in the test equipment or question used are consistent or stable if repeat measurements are met. The third is data processing. After testing the validity and reliability, the next step is processing data on assessment using a Likert scale, like on the screen. Based on the result of data processing using the AHP method, it was found that the most dominant impact occurred was the impact of casualties with a weight of 0.358, and the lowest weight was the socioeconomic impact of 0.157. The weighting value obtained is in accordance with BNPB data for 2015 until 2020, which show that the impact of casualties is mostly caused by landslide. The result of the assessment show that mitigation measures before landslide occur have the greatest weight value compared to mitigation effort during and after disaster. Based on the result of assessment, the most significant impact and the most important mitigation of landslide are related. Because the mitigation carried out is a mitigation that can reduce or even eliminate the greatest impacts of landslide. Conclusion. First, the impact of landslide is classified into four parts, namely the impact of casualties, physical impacts, environmental health, and socioeconomic impacts. Second, landslide mitigation is classified based on time, in which there are three divisions of landslide mitigation. Mitigation before landslide, during landslide, and after landslide. Mitigation before, during, and after landslide is classified into two types, namely structure and non-structure. Structure mitigation is an effort taken to reduce the risk of landslide by building physical infrastructure and technology approach, while non-structure is an effort made using policies or regulation. Third, the assessment by 14 experts from universities in Indonesia using the AHP method result in the impact of being affected and displaced as an impact with the highest weight of 15.35. This impact was included in the classification of casualty impacts. Meanwhile, the impact that is not dominant according to the expert is the impact of crime with a weight of 6.75 and is one of the socioeconomic impacts. Fourth, assessment by 14 experts from university in Indonesia using the AHP method result in the two most important mitigation measured with a weight of 11.29. The first mitigation is the creation of a map the location of landslide disaster and easy to reach evacuation routes, and the second is the creation of a landslide early warning system and the installation of a rainfall monitoring device. Both mitigation are included in the mitigation classification before landslide. And thank you and have a nice day.